All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the One-on-One Podcast. My name is Josh. I am here in the studio in Laguna Niguel, California, joined virtually by my co-host, Kathy Baker. Kathy, how are you?
I'm great.
We also have Savog Sarkeesian, who is our pseudo-producer slash talking head in the background.
I'm just here. I'm just clicking the button to press record.
Kathy, I have a really good question that I think it might take you a minute to answer, but I think you're going to enjoy this one. And I don't think I've asked it before. And for Savog and our guests, who I will introduce in a second, because we talked briefly about this before we got on camera. Kathy, I'm going to start with you. What is your favorite summertime alcoholic beverage?
You know, I'm glad you asked that because it's vodka. Did you mean alcohol? Did you mean alcohol or just any?
Alcohol.
I'm a little bit of a lizard, and I like to be in the sun, and I can't do dark liquor in the sun. It just doesn't have a really good long-term effect on me. I like Tito's. I got to be honest.
But I hope you're not just drinking Tito's out of the bottle. I hope you're mixing it with something.
Lemonade.
Okay, good. Savog, what about you? I think I know yours.
During the summertime, I've shifted recently. Well,
You're a big spritz guy.
now I am.
Yeah.
I got a little bit older, so I've been doing a Lillet spritz or an Aperol spritz if it's hot and nice. But other than that, I mean, I could go for a nice hibiscus iced tea.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. For me, and I think I already know what our guest's answer is, but for me, and Kathy, you know I struggle with this because I'm a whiskey drinker. So my summertime or daytime drink is always hard, but I've learned that I love mezcal with just a bunch of lime juice squeezed into it, just on a big cube. That is my go-to. And now I'll introduce our guests because I know that they have some moonshine in their fridge, and I don't know if that's their
really
favorite
great.
drink, but Jeff and Mark of Rog Coastal out of Charleston, South Carolina. How are you guys?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Before we jump into everything that we're here to talk about today, what is your guys' favorite summertime alcoholic beverage?
I think I'm going to answer for both of us because we both drink girly drinks.
Okay.
And so we both like the mango frozen margaritas that you get at, all the Mexican restaurants and whatnot.
Is that the one that comes in the big tall?
Yeah, the big tall one. Yeah, that's it.
Don't worry about how big it is. Don't judge. Don't hate. I
We're
think
not
we should have
judging,
more of a
and
conversation here with Kathy. You asked her what drink she wanted, and you're expecting to say some kind of cosmopolitan, this on ice. No, vodka. So we're here for. We love you, Kathy, but we're worried about you. Are you okay? This is an
Okay.
intervention.
Well, the other thing that I really like that I keep in the freezer is moonshine.
All right, my
peach
girl.
Moonshine, and just do like a shot. It doesn't really freeze, but it gets icy. And that they have apple pie
That's mine.
and peach. Are you an apple pie?
Yeah,
Man.
love it.
We're probably encouraging terrible behavior right now, but
Yeah.
if anyone is going to or has been to Summit and has gotten the chance to hang out with Kathy and I and Savog sometimes, we're pretty fun to drink with. So please join us this November.
So we
But
could start off a realtor podcast with alcohol, right?
Yeah,
right? I thought that was, and like we're recording on a Friday. This is like a new thing for us. So, clearly my brain's in other places.
There you go.
And no offense to people who don't drink, but isn't that part of the job description?
I don't know if we can say that one, but
Well, when the caffeine wears off, you need to have something. And on the East Coast, it's almost cocktail time. So in North Carolina and South
Yeah, that's
Carolina, we're ready.
that's true. Well, let's, we can talk a lot right now. We only have a little bit of time, but I really want to pick your guys' brain about YouTube. You guys have built a following. You guys have really found your niche in your market in Charleston. And I kind of want to know, how did that begin? Why did you decide to do YouTube? And what are some of the success stories that you've seen from it?
And incredible results. I mean, 91, I don't want to steal your thunder, but 91 transactions and over 50% as a result of your YouTube engagement, correct?
Yeah, we were just under 50%. So 43 of the 91 were all YouTube closed last year. And so I think we started in on it about 2.5 years ago. I started a little bit before we got together. So we've been together, 3.5 years? Yeah. And I was just kind of, trying new things, doing a lot of new construction video, and it just wouldn't work by myself. And so when Jeff and I got together back in 2021, I think it was, the personalities of the two of us combined is really where I feel like it kicked off.
Talk about that, because we talked about this briefly before we started recording. You guys are who you are right now on this podcast. I'm staring at you guys on this video. I've watched your videos on YouTube. It's your personality in those videos. Clearly, when you meet with clients, it's the same thing. But I know that sounds easier said than done, but it's not. You guys have really built your online presence, which when someone then meets you in person, there's no surprise.
Yeah, we've really tried to be just who we are all the time. You know, if you're a very analytical thinking engineer, then we might not be the guys for you. You're probably not going to pick up the phone and call us because that's just not who we are. And that's not who we are in video. People want authenticity. They want to know who they're dealing with on the biggest investment of their life. And they when they walk through the door, and Mark can talk a little bit about the process of getting them from watching YouTube until they're actually in our office. Every time we feel like we know you already walking through the door. Oh my God, it's the guys. I can't believe I'm finally meeting you, which was shocking to me that we've come up with this like celebrity status in the 55 plus space, because that's where we do a lot of our work. I was telling my wife one time, something weird is happening. Like I'm walking through the grocery store and people are walking up to me and say, "Oh, I love all your videos. I watch this." It's like, you're insane. Could your head be any bigger? Stop it, you lunatic. And then she experienced it like 3 times in a week. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, it's actually happening like you're saying."
How about at your birthday dinner? We're sitting there
Oh, yeah.
Over across the street here, and this guy just gets up and comes over to us. "I just had to come say hi to you guys. I watch every one of your videos. You guys are awesome."
We had one couple that every Saturday night they would open up a bottle of wine, and that was their date night. Is they would sit and watch Mark and I
That's
and the
great.
videos we did that week.
so
I'm like,
weird.
how much marriage counseling do you need that is what you're doing for your special time with your wife every week? That's terrifying.
Well, can I roll back just a minute and say, how did you stumble into this? I mean, 2021, we're coming out of the pandemic. Market is really warming up at that time. And what was the first thing that made you go, you know what, we should do a video?
Yeah, I think we started getting some traction just from doing listing videos and going into these new construction places and talking about the neighborhoods. And then we saw other people that were 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of us really seeing success. And the key was that the consistency is where you had to be. If you're just kind of wanting to do YouTube just to have one video a month or one every other month, this is probably not the attraction-based model that you want to go for. Really, the consistency, like we do 2 produced videos every week plus a live video every week on one channel, and then another video on another channel that's produced, and that's at the same time every week. And we pretty much kill ourselves to get those videos done. Like,
Yeah.
If we have 20 clients come in, we're working till 9 o'clock at night here in the studio or going out to a community on a Sunday afternoon to get those videos done, because we know how important that consistency is.
If this is your biggest takeaway, or one of them, is be yourself and be consistent.
Yep.
YouTube hates inconsistency.
Yep.
So let me ask you this. It gave you almost 50% of your business last year, so let's start there. But what's the, have you guys clocked the amount of hours each week, you would say?
So we have an editing team now, so that saves us a lot, because in the beginning I was doing all of the editing, which each video was taking me 3 to 4 hours to edit, to have it to my liking and everything. So that saved a bunch of time once we went to an editing team. But for every video, we try to get it done between 1 and 2 hours. And the places we have to drive a little bit further to, we try to kind of bulk those videos. So I would say with the 4 videos every week, we're spending 6 to 8 hours every week.
That sounds right. It just depends on how. But we knocked out 4 videos yesterday up in the upstate.
Yeah.
Our minimum on site on property is about an hour and 20 minutes, and that'll be a couple walkthroughs of homes, a neighborhood, fly some drone, and then we're trying to start to incorporate more lifestyle into those videos. So it's a lot about the neighborhoods, but now we're trying to touch more on lifestyle also. So my point there is the intro or the outro to the video will most likely be done at a park, a shopping center, something cool that is within 10, 15 minutes of that property.
I love what you said about consistency too, is because that's what's going to build over time your authority with YouTube and getting it to realize, okay, yeah, this is legitimate source and channel. Let me show this content to other folks who are interested. I was just reading a stat. It was a Nielsen stat that YouTube is a top streaming platform by watch time over Netflix and Hulu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that.
So it's it has the core of YouTube and has a huge audience, and you guys getting noticed out in your local communities shows how important it is to have content in all forms for your audience when you define them, but also for your hyper local reach.
Yes.
And
That's
this
a great
is
point.
without a lot of subscribers. I mean, we only
we're-
have 1,800-ish subscribers.
But you guys have built a cult following, it sounds like. So those 1,800 subscribers are watching everything that you guys produce.
That's right.
And then that's word of mouth from those 1,800 subscribers. So you're probably getting a lot more people that are watching. They just might not have subscribed yet.
That's
they
right.
probably have seen 4 or 5 or 6 videos, and they're teetering on that. Do I click the follow button?
Well, that's what's great about this is that it's YouTube is doing our job for us. Mark, how many watch hours do we have in a month?
Well, we have 14,000 views in the last 28 days, and watch hours were up like 23% this last month. But we were close to 1,000 hours.
So 1,400 times people saw our faces and heard us, and then watched for
1,400 hours.
1,400 hours. So
Yeah.
1,400 hours. I don't know how many hours are in a month, but I'm guessing it's less than 1,400. So it's like we're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in multiple
Totally.
fronts.
Yeah.
Totally.
Can we do some math with Kathy?
Please don't. It sounded so much like a word problem that I almost broke out in a sweat, but I did. So let me ask you this: your transactions, your buyers and your sellers, are they local or are they finding you?
No,
in
we-
YouTube?
I would
Or is it-
say 90%.
Yeah.
90% of our people are from the Northeast, Colorado, California, Chicago, mostly the Northeast. This last string, so far this year, we've had 61 appointments from YouTube, and I would bet half, if not more, of those were from New England. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, people were fleeing the weather and the taxes and realizing that South Carolina and Charleston specifically has kind of become the 55-plus capital of the East Coast. Florida is having some difficulties with insurance rates and hurricanes and things like that. So we've got a lot of halfbacks, people that started in the Northeast and they went to Florida and said, this isn't quite what I thought, and I still want to be in that lifestyle, that 55-plus lifestyle. In the Carolinas is where we've got 7. We're actually we do work all over the Charleston market, but we're in Summerville, South Carolina, just in the outskirts, half an hour to downtown. And we've got 7 55 pluses here in the Summerville market.
We talked about this briefly before we hopped on. That is so mind-boggling to me that your guys' market is 55 plus from YouTube.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead. Just explain that a little bit.
Yeah, on YouTube, we only have 2% of our watchers that are under 35, but most of them are 55 to 75. I think it's 73% of our viewers are 55 to 75.
And what's important is where and how they're watching. 5 years ago, when every television that you started buying came with the YouTube app on it, and it became much, much easier to watch YouTube on your TV at home, I think has made a big difference for us.
63% of our watchers are watching on a TV.
The
Well, can I
demographics are
just
crazy.
stop and just give a big kudos that, man, Savag, Josh, are you not impressed by how well
Yeah.
they know the numbers?
I'm absolutely impressed by this. My
That's
head's
this guy,
kind of
trust me.
exploding right now. It all makes sense to me, but the fact that it's 55 plus is your guys' demographic from YouTube, but then the source is predominantly a television. It's
different
basically
markets.
What you're saying is, and this is, I'm going to poke fun at my parents really quick. They're not very tech savvy. They can probably turn on the TV with the remote and click the YouTube little app icon, and then they can search for you guys on YouTube. And like that's really what it is, right? Like they don't have to. It's been made so simple, and so you guys have been able to tap that market, and that's just so cool.
Well, and it's even more simple for them because they can hit the little button and say active adult communities in the Southeast.
Well,
and
and it's
boom.
and
the
now you see the
relationship
remotes
between
now that have
Google-
the YouTube button, so like they don't even have to.
Right.
The relationship between Google and YouTube also will put, if you go Google something on your computer, a video from YouTube is going to pop up at the top of the search list. And if
Right.
you're looking for Del Webb in Summerville, it's most likely that Mark and I are going to be the one that pop up on your screen. And from our business perspective, what's not to love about 55 plus? It's a more mature buyer. It's a higher price point. It's a lot more deals in cash. A lot that isn't requiring a lot of hoops to jump through for mortgages. So it's a great place for realtors to be if you have that in your market.
And they're coming from the north where they're selling their house for more.
Yeah.
coming down here where prices are a little bit cheaper. For
Yeah,
them,
we've had people from
which they love.
California that, they still had a hefty mortgage on their house and they sold off there, had enough in equity to come here and buy a nicer house by far than they had in California, and they paid cash for it.
Yeah, Svog and I talk about this a lot. We're ready to leave this state. We have been for years.
Come on, Charles.
I'll get you into 55 plus in a few years, buddy. You
Yeah,
got a ways to
I got
go.
a couple years. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
I'm almost there. It's interesting because you know your data, you know your demographics, you know your audience. You've mentioned that they're coming in from other markets and so there's a signal that, okay, they're maybe in retirement or they may be relocating. How do you develop your content? This could be, what a key takeaway of anybody listening here. How do you develop your content knowing all the information that you provided, because you've been putting in the work to create these videos and you have the information and you turn that into an ROI product to drive more business to you? And how do you know what content you're going to develop?
Yeah, it starts with being the smartest guy in the market. And I don't mean the smartest, I guess. I mean the most informed guy in the market. So when Mark and I were starting out, if we had an hour on our hands, we went out to neighborhoods and we met with new construction, because a lot of new construction in our market. And so having the ability to have somebody call up and meet with us, and us having the knowledge to say, oh, I know you're looking at this neighborhood, but here's the other two that I think we want to talk about, and here's why. But you have to have that knowledge of every neighborhood to begin with that. So that's really important. A lot of people, there's other YouTubers in this market. There's other good YouTubers in this market. But people that come through the door, the ones that we've asked, well, why did you call us and not him? Or why'd you call us and not them? I liked you guys. It seemed that you knew more than everybody else. And here's the one that's kind of stinks for us. You have more videos out than anybody else does. And because that's the time of putting these together is, half my job now is I'm a YouTuber. I'm not a realtor.
Whether we like it or not, it's legitimacy in today's world. It is. And so, and I think you guys have figured that out, and it benefits your business. Do you guys have weekly brainstorms as far as the creative content that you guys are going to be putting together? Or is it kind of, this is what hit us this week, these are our clients, this is what we're going to do?
Mark sets up a schedule, and that schedule absolutely goes to crap every single week because
All right,
things
so it's not just us.
just happen. You want to be in the space that makes you money. So, if you look at our channel much, you'll see that there's a lot more than non-55s. And then we go into new neighborhoods. The videos that have done really well sometimes are ones that we said, I don't know if that's going to work, but let's try it and see what happens. We started doing some drive-through videos of some of the 55-plus neighborhoods where Mark and I are just in my truck driving around and we're on camera, and people loved them. And then,
Genius idea, by the way, Jeff.
Thank you. And then the golf cart was like, well, heck, if they like that, part of what we sell is that the golf cart ability of all these neighborhoods that we have in our area. You can get to Jesus Chicken over at Chick-fil-A and Starbucks and grocery shopping and go to all this stuff by golf cart. Let's go do some videos in golf cart. They were awesome. People loved them. They loved them so much that on our Tuesday Live, we put our golf cart guy on to talk about buying golf carts in South Carolina and what the rules and laws were about that. And people loved that one.
I think I just figured it out. I can tell you guys clearly create good content, but just from the last 20 minutes alone, there's a sense of calm and there's a sense of comfort when you guys talk. There's a sense of these guys know what they're talking about, but they're not so stuffy and serious about it. And you guys have tapped into a network that they're at the stage in their life where what they want is comfort. They want joy. They want someone to tell them what to do, but not in a way where it's going to be scary. And that's what you guys have really tapped into, I think.
My aunt sent me a message. She lives up in Massachusetts still, and she sent me a message and said, "You guys are so great, and you don't have a bunch of BS sales stuff." Yeah. And that's what I think people like. They want the trust, they want the likability, and then the education. And we try to hit those three things.
And listen, we've had a couple that have emailed us and said, I love you guys. Thank you for the education. I just don't feel like we're the right fit because you said this. I mean, I'm clear on my channel. I hate my mother-in-law. She's nasty. And I talk about it on the channel. And Mark's sometimes why would you please shut up about your, I don't like her. And I talk about it on the channel, and I can't tell you how many people go, I hate my mother-in-law also.
That's great. See, I love that. You're real. I mean, that's something that Kathy, you're going to say something. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the authenticity, let's face it, 55 plus community is probably not their first transaction. It's not their first home. And they don't really care. What you've identified is they want the navigator and they want the safety, like you said, Josh, and the confidence. And they could care less probably about the 3-bedroom, 2-bath or 2.5 bath. What they want is the community. And you're bringing that to them so they can experience that. And the structure is really secondary compared to all of that. So very good job.
I agree. I mean, I'll tell you, I will probably go watch more of your guys' YouTube channel. So that little 2% that's under the age of 35 might go up a little bit.
I knew it was somebody like him.
Yeah.
I mean, Kathy, I kind of want to ask you this too. When you look at the time commitment you spent over months and a couple of years and driving content and being consistent and being committed, this is a really good marketing tool. This is your marketing product, and you don't need to have fancy equipment to start. You can start with your iPhone and attach a $20 little tripod handheld thing to it to get going. But this is all self work that you could put in and start off and create that content that's valuable. Show how genuine you are. You're a trustworthy resource. But it just shows that folks who think they can create shortcuts by investing hundreds or thousands of dollars to increase their share of voice or increase their brand locally, but they're not looking at something so valuable into video and YouTube. That's bonkers.
It is, but it's what they said. It's the consistency of it, right? You can invest as much as you want, but if you don't do it on a consistent basis, that investment is all for nothing.
So up until 2 weeks ago, we were using an iPhone 14 for all of our content, besides the drone. I'm a drone pilot too, so I fly the drone. So the drone plus the iPhone. So I'm glad you said that about not having to have equipment. We used an iPhone for 2 years on the 0.5 setting. You turn it to 4K and you do 60 frames per second. And it's almost as good as the camera that we're on right now that costs $1,200.
Get a good microphone.
Yeah,
Get a wireless mic.
huge.
Sound is super important. And even in the studio here, we're not talking to incredibly expensive microphones right now, but for under $100, you can get you a wireless microphone, attach it to your iPhone, and I'm telling you, that's what we did for 2 years.
That's $100. And how many leads did you get for that $100 wireless microphone?
Well, we made
just last year we closed 43 YouTube. So
and those were all
go.
iPhones. I do want to mention one thing, Josh. YouTube isn't the only platform out there. We know people doing Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. This rolls over to all of those. My people, my ideal client, aren't TikTok people.
Well,
My people are in YouTube.
YouTube gives the ability for long form. I think that's the beauty of YouTube is, TikTok and Instagram. The other thing is your guys' market is we talked about this. Your guys' market is 55 plus. TikTok, Instagram are the really impatient kids that can't see something for longer than a minute or 2 minutes, and then you've completely lost their attention. It's short form content. And so we do this as a brand. You guys take your however long minute videos, and I'm hoping that you guys splice them up and you use them as promotional content on social media to then drive them back to YouTube because that's your home base.
We
correct?
do repurpose.
Yeah, there's other platforms that are short form, and YouTube even has their own YouTube Shorts. That they drive folks to. But I have another question, and it might be unrelated. How did you guys decide? Is it who goes first, Jeff and Mark and Jeff? Like the name. When there's two folks involved, I just watched Hacks last night, and I was like, okay.
Well, Jeff is the more negotiator person on our team, the little bit finesse more in talking. I'm more the tech side of it. So I always put Jeff's name first. If you notice on the screen, Jeff's name is first. And he does the intros the best. So he always gets to talk first, and it works out perfect.
But that attitude right there is what makes us the great team, because I always say that Mark is the smart one. He always says I'm the smart one. We've got our own special skills, but our relationship as teammates and business owners is super important. It comes across in the YouTube, maybe my name goes first more, but it should be him.
Well, yeah, and I think it also just plays on your guys' organic chemistry. You two work as a team. People see that in your content, so it makes you two even more likable, more trustworthy. It's all good things. Go ahead, Swag.
At one summit, I think I'm going to buy Mark the drink first, and then Jeff.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, we really appreciate you guys taking the time for this. I think that our network is hopefully going to learn something from this, and hopefully they go out and start their own YouTube channels. Like you guys said, you didn't reinvent the wheel. People have been doing this long before you. People are going to do this long after you. It's a matter of consistency. Yeah, make sure to check out Jeff and Mark's YouTube channel. Kathy, do you have anything else before we go?
I just say kudos, guys. The consistency, I'm going to go back to what Savag was asking. Commit to it and do it.
Yep.
I'm assuming you started in 2021. You really probably started to see results about 2023.
We actually started YouTube probably back in 2020. We didn't really start getting any results until 2021. And when we saw those results, that's when we doubled down on the consistency to have such a successful year last year. This year already, we got 33 homes under contract. So, I was sitting here running some numbers and just thinking, man, that's a really good ROI. And kudos to you. I love that. I love how natural. I love how comfortable you make everyone feel. I have to believe, Savag and Josh, that there are people that sit down and go, hey, let's get a glass of wine or vodka and let's see what the guys are doing. Let's see what Jeff and Mark are up to today. Yeah.
I have to believe you've got people that are doing that, and that's phenomenal.
And I just got to say, too, like, anybody can do this. Like, our faces and bodies are not made for video, okay? So, like, if we can do it, anybody can do it.
Just be consistent.
Yeah.
Go be consistent, find your market, and be yourselves. I think that's the thing that I really want to harp is like you guys, I want to just sit and like hang out with you guys because I already know who you two are. It's not like I'm just having this, you know how they always say like someone has like a phone voice and then when they hang up the phone, it's a completely different voice than how they sound in real life. Like I know when I meet you guys in November, this is who I'm going to be meeting. And I think that that's just really cool and genuine.
We do play a game with Mark, though. He's from Boston, so every time he puts the letter R in
I
a
got
word
his
where
socks
it's
out
not
on. I don't know if
supposed
you
to
saw.
be,
Pasta car.
raise your hand. Whoever has the most at the end of the night wins.
Got it. I love it. Well, my parents live in New England. They live in Rhode Island, so I'm very familiar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, stay tuned, audience. I think you're going to see more of them. Hopefully, we'll see them at Summit. We've already had a little bit of discussion about that. And I just personally want to say thank you so much for representing our brand so well. We're a lifestyle brand, and you guys are living it for us. And I'm very, very proud, very sincerely, to be associated with you and Realty One Group Coastal. So, guys, thanks for doing such a great job representing.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank
We
you guys.
appreciate you.
Thanks for joining us. Good.